when I was on SNL, Chris Farley and I. Did you know Chris?
I never. He's one of the ones where, and I know he went to mass all the time, but I was like, because I talked to Sandler all the time. I'm like, what was he like? What did he do? What did he do? I know.
So we used to go to mass. We used to live in the same neighborhood. So we'd go to mass together.
Wow.
SNL's so nocturnal.
Right.
So you'd go to the party and didn't get home till like 5 a.m. And then we'd go to mass at night, Sunday night, and Chris would be like, so sorry. So sorry. And I'd be like, Chris, he's like, no, Siobhan, it's bad. But he was so faithful.
That's a clip from EWTN Studios' newest podcast, Catholics and Cappuccinos, in which host Siobhan Fallon Hogan shed some colorful insight into the faith life of comedian Chris Farley with fellow Catholic actor Kevin James. The podcast has been a hit so far, with the New York Post even recently spotlighting it. Host Fallon Hogan is an actress, writer, and producer who blends humor, celebrity interviews, and faith in her show. Guests so far have included actors Jonathan Rumi, Patricia Heaton, and David Henry. Religious men and women will also be featured as guests. Fallon Hogan herself is known for her roles on Saturday Night Live and also in famed films like Men in Black, Holes, and Forrest Gump.
I'm Forrest Gump.
I'm Dorothy Harris.
Well, now we ain't strangers anymore.
Fallon Hogan has spoken openly about the role her Catholic faith has played in both her professional and personal life. She says she hopes her new podcast, Catholics and Cappuccinos, can help share the joy about the faith. Siobhan Fallon Hogan visited with me here in studio during a recent visit to Washington, D.C. She shared her own faith upbringing in a big Irish Catholic family and how faith and humor often go hand in hand. Siobhan, it is so good to have you, and congratulations on the launch of this podcast.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We had to have some cappuccinos for you here, make you feel right at home.
Exactly.
Now, you have been in iconic American films and TV shows. I mean, just for our viewers to know, Saturday Night Live, Seinfeld, Forrest Gump, I could go on. Tell us, throughout your career, were you a practicing Catholic? Did you consider yourself a devout Catholic?
Yes. I mean, I hope I was.
We're all practicing.
Other people
after
might
all.
have different opinions. No, yes, my faith was always so important to me, and wherever I went, my career has taken me all over the world, which was so lucky. And I'd always make sure to find the Catholic Church, the second I got there. And it's been a big part of my family growing up, and my family now, and my kids, and that's my base.
I love that. And I mean, I understand you grew up in an Irish Catholic family.
Oh, yes.
How much did that Catholic upbringing and your childhood contribute to your active faith life today, do you think?
I think it's all about my family and my parents, because the church and the Catholic faith, and it's just who we are. It's just like in us from the time we were born, and the Catholic guilt has been a nice rudder.
Yeah.
And so it's the basis of who I am, and even with the movies that I wrote, they're Catholic themed. Because that's just who I am.
I love that. I think for many Catholics, we can look at the mainstream media, Hollywood, the entertainment industry, and we can create this kind of us versus them mentality and this dichotomy, and we can feel this need to protect our families and our children from people who maybe have other beliefs and other agendas. But as someone who is a devout Catholic and has worked in the entertainment industry, I'm curious on your thoughts on that and on that dichotomy.
I believe that the industry is open for anyone, and you just have to then make choices, and whatever you're comfortable with, and not be afraid of the industry. I mean, you could just be proud of your faith. And I found it to be very accepting. It wasn't an issue for me much, but I would choose, accordingly.
Yeah. Not to live in fear of it, but to just know, okay, you have free will.
Right. And Catholics have a lot of gifts that I just had Kevin James on the show, and he's, there's so many great Catholics that are in the industry. And I think I get a lot of calls from parents or kids saying, should I, is it too scary? No. Just be strong, and don't be courageous, and don't be afraid to accept or reject what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Kevin James, on that great podcast episode, you were also telling him memories of Chris Farley and seeing him at Mass. Just another example of the faith lived out there.
Yes, and Chris was a great Catholic and just a charitable guy who was very devout and just an excellent person.
It does seem, Siobhan, that many well-known comedians, late night hosts, and you've lived in that world. You know, I'm thinking especially about Saturday Night Live. It seems so many of them have a Catholic upbringing in common.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, Conan O'Brien, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, just to name a few, all have been very open about their Catholic upbringing. And in fact, there was actually a contingency of 100+ comedians that Pope Francis invited to the Vatican back in 2024. Is there something
I didn't
about
get the nod. What is going on?
We have to do another one with Pope Leo, right?
Exactly.
But is there something about being Catholic you think that contributes to having a good sense of humor?
Definitely. I mean, Irish Catholic families are hysterical. And you know, usually they're big families. And the bigger your family, the more critics you have. So the more critics you have, the more you figure, it's like being a boxer. You're like, okay, that uppercut didn't work, so I'm going to clock him the other way. So in humor, and a lot of the families are Irish. So Irish, my family's all Irish, and we're storytellers, and that's what you love to do. And I was a terrible student, but one of the things is my family really valued storytelling more than they did grades. I remember one time I got a D in college in astronomy. I mean, I got as far as I was like, I thought this was about the stars. I was like, what's with the Doppler effect and all this other stuff? They're like, the sound goes by, and I was like, yeah, but anyway, I remember I got a D, and my father said, oh, sure, well, that's all right. He said, now see this pie here? He said, look, there's 65% of it left. Look how much pie is left. That's good. So, it was kind of more like we really valued making people laugh and telling stories.
And you could hold attention at the dinner table
Totally.
among your siblings and parents.
My sister Megan was the youngest, and she'd sit down near my father. So to get to my mother, she had to pass a couple kids. And she'd say to my mother, when can I talk? It's like, listen, sister, you're on your own. Just try to get in there when you can.
And that skill has just continued to pay off. Your new EWTN podcast, Catholics and Cappuccinos. Again, congratulations. What a gift it is to the network.
I'm very grateful to the network.
It's so fun to watch, and it is very edifying. What's your hope with your podcast, Siobhan, and in the conversations that you're having with these prominent Catholics who are really shaping our culture?
Yes, I think that my hope is just to show the joy of Catholics, and to show that, there's so many Catholics that are working in the industry, but I'm having religious as well. So I'm learning so much. I think, like my daughter Sinead is producing with me, and my son is producing, and they're learning so much just from hearing the different priests or the different actors. Patty Heaton's been on, Kevin James, Federico Castelluccio's coming up from The Sopranos, Jonathan Rumi, and great priests. Like I just had Father Vincent Bernhard, who is, people are flocking to his masses. He runs the NYU Catholic Center. He's this great Dominican. And I'm learning so much. Yeah. There's a lot of fun that we have, but there's a lot of serious moments as well.
And showing that joy, I mean, that is such a powerful evangelization tool.
Totally. And to show community. Like it's showing that we have this community in the entertainment field of people, and they're very joyous. But they also have a lot of struggles. It's like nobody's perfect, and it makes you feel like, oh, good, they didn't start off here.
I have to ask, this year marks 10 years since EWTN foundress Mother Angelica has passed away. And here you are, your podcast is a part of this network that she built. And I'm just curious if you could reflect on Mother Angelica, and if there's a trait that she had that you just especially admire.
Well, she was so funny. Yeah. I mean, she taught and evangelized with such humor and such blunt, hilarious way. She was hysterical. So, that's very inspiring to me. I was saying before, like I wrote a movie, Shelter in Solitude, and a movie, Rushed. And I'm very attracted to characters who are funny, but have been through struggles. Yeah. And she saw so much struggle and so much sorrow and helped so many people.
Well, your joy is contagious as well. I'm so grateful to be speaking with you.
Oh,
and again, for the success of your podcast, Siobhan Fallon Hogan, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thanks for having me on. Here's to you.
Cheers.
Oh, look, it's stuck to the saucer.
There we go.
Oh, look at that. That's probably, they probably didn't trust me. What's good?